It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does on this Friday, and great to have you with us all across America and Canada and wherever else you might be listening or watching, courtesy of our YouTube channel, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, Spotify, any of the podcasting platforms we're on where you can listen to the show. Appreciate you being with us for the next 60 minutes. A lot to talk about on this show. We'll get to some baseball, update you on where all the wild card stuff stands, the divisional races, as it is going to go down to the final weekend for a whole bunch of spots in this Major League Baseball postseason. We've got Page versus the Prince, a 4-pack of NFL picks coming up to end the show. Robert Littal will be here, the founder of Black Sports Online, who does a great job on everything, and joins us every Friday on the show. No Tino Patino today, by the way. We had a scheduling conflict, so no NASCAR hit with Tino, but we'll recap the race on Monday. We start things in the NFL, and Sam Yarnell is here. 8th straight win for the Seahawks against Arizona, and they win in spite of themselves, it almost felt like, Sam, because this was a game, I mean, this was a snoozer. They had some sort of, like, event here where I live, like a hospitality event, and they invited everybody to come out and watch the football game on the patio by the pool and all this. It was supposed to be great. And I got to go and be sociable, which is never fun. And I'm out there, and I'm talking to people and watching this game. And this game was a snoozer for basically the first 3.5 quarters, Sam. Seattle dominating on the road in Arizona. And then all of a sudden, you get a stop. You get a what feels like sort of a touchdown, sort of a garbage touchdown with 5.5 minutes left. You get another stop, and you miss a field goal. Jason Myers misses from 52, and then you're marching back down the field again and scoring again in just 2.5 minutes. And before you know it, Sam, you have yourself a tie football game with just 20 some odd seconds left. You get a terrible kickoff, which, gives Seattle the football at the 40. And you see the end result with the game-winning field goal from Jason Myers from 52 yards. The same exact kick he missed, basically. He sort of knuckles it in, and Seattle gets a win. But I got to be honest, I didn't like the lack of aggression in settling for the 52-yard field goal late in regulation there, Sam. I didn't like that on the first missed field goal. And Sam Darnold, look, made a couple of big throws in this game as well. Your thoughts overall on what we saw out of Seattle, who's now 3-1 on the season?
Yeah, well, so first of all, on the Cardinals side of this game, super narrative-saving fourth quarter that team had. I mean, if they don't have that last 10 minutes of that game, we are coming out here this morning talking about, do they have to blow it all up again in Arizona? Like, is the Kyler Murray thing not the answer for the Cardinals? Is the Marvin Harrison Jr. pick going to bite them in the rear end? Luckily, they make a couple connections late and kind of save us from talking about that today. But forget that not when this season rolls on and this team continues to battle in the NFC West. On the field goal thing that Myers missed, the 53-yarder that he missed on the drive that gave Arizona the ball back to come down and tie it, I didn't have as much of a problem with kicking that field goal in that spot as much as I did with the play call before, running the ball on 39.
That's what I'm saying. I want to be more, but that's my point. Be more aggressive there. Don't settle and act like a 53-yard field goal is a chip shot just because everybody's got bionic legs and these footballs now that you can kick 1,000 yards.
Yeah, right. After the long completion, just running the ball three times right into a field goal attempt, it does seem a little too analytically minded for me, but that there's a reason that Mike McDonald is getting paid as much as he is to coach that football team and coach them to wins nevertheless. And that's what matters, right? In a tough division that, I still don't think the Seahawks are going to really compete in. I think they're still probably the third best team in this division. But, they looked pretty good last night against the fourth best team in this division. So it's something. Credit to the NFL, man. Credit to the NFL. They get us to watch a game on a Thursday night that is horrible for 51 minutes of it, right? Between the third and fourth teams in a seemingly irrelevant division. I don't know, man. The NFL is a crazy business when it comes to sales.
The NFC West, I'm trying to figure out if it's a beast or if it's a fraud. Because I got the Niners, starting Mac Jones and winning football games. No George Kittle. No Bosa now, who's going to be out for the rest of the season. Seattle, who's 3-1. But as you just kind of alluded to, are they really a good football team? We sort of saw late in this game that some things that give us pause. But again, they got a head coach who's done nothing but basically win on the road. What's he won? 13 of his first 14 games on the road in the NFL, something like that, some crazy number. And then you've got the Rams who went into Philadelphia and played a heck of a game. It was an entertaining football game, but came up short. And you're just left kind of scratching your head. Is the NFC West as good as the records look? Or is it going to be one of those situations where we get to week 12 and this sort of all comes back down to reality?
Yeah, I think with this division, again, and I said it before the season, the only direction that I'd be willing to go is San Francisco. That's still the case. I think that they're far and away, even with all the injuries that they're bearing, the most talented team, right? And I was having this conversation with somebody in the industry the other day. It's like when you are as fortunate as San Francisco has been and you operate with such efficiency as that entire organization does top to bottom, you can afford to deal with what they're dealing with right now more so than other NFL franchises. When you've got a schedule as easy as they've got this year, quite frankly, it's as simple as it comes down to being easier to win games without your Nick Bosa, right? It comes down to it's easier to win games with Mac Jones under center. And hey, we can load management Christian McCaffrey and we can load management George Kittle, and he can miss the next 4 weeks because our schedule's a cakewalk, and look at this. He's already missed 2 of them, and we're 3-0. Who cares? Like, it is incredibly fortunate the position that the San Francisco 49ers have been put in, and they are doing the most in terms of maximizing it. It's the only way that I'd go in this division.
Yeah, and that's fine if you want to go that way. I mean, I'll still go with the Rams, and I still think if you tell me who has a better chance to go deep into the playoffs, the Rams or the Niners, I'm taking the Rams. It's not the Niners. It's not. I think San Francisco might be built for all the reasons you said to have a good regular season record and then lose early in the playoffs. We're coming back. Welcome back to the show. Robert Littal, 10 minutes from now, founder of Black Sports Online, does a terrific job on everything. Go through some of the top stories of the week in sports, including a story you haven't probably heard a lot about, but you should. And there's a reason you're not hearing a lot about it. That is intentional. That's coming up a little later on. Let's talk some baseball, Sam Yarnell. Update these MLB pennant races and some of these wild card chases as well. Hey, the Tigers won a game. What do you know? Detroit finally gets a win. I mean, and literally breathing a huge sigh of relief after getting said win against the Guardians and tying things up over there in the AL Central, Sam. The Yankees win again, so they continue to sort of solidify their spot as the top wild card team. But the Blue Jays also won, so they remain basically a game up. They're tied with the Yankees for the AL East, but if it ends the season that way, Toronto would still wind up winning the AL East. The Yankees are going to have to sweep the Orioles and hope the Jays lose at least one game. I mean, the Yankees could potentially just win a couple of games and still, I guess, conceivably win the division, Sam. But let's talk about it from the American League perspective here for a couple of minutes. You'll have the Jays taking on the Rays in Skydome over the weekend, and the Yankees taking on the Orioles. How do you think it all plays out?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, this weekend is so loaded with so many things, Jason, between the college football and the
Yeah.
NFL slate and the National League and the Ryder Cup, that's like thing number 7 on my list, because at this point in the American League, it just feels like everyone's playing for seeding.
They are, but seeding is important. You want to stay out of the wild card series if you can. It allows you to set up your pitching in a whole different way. I mean, if you're the Yankees and you could somehow, steal this division, and that's what it would be. It would be stealing this division. If you could somehow steal this division and you're the Yankees, I mean, it drastically changes the way you set up this rotation going into the postseason.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out down the stretch.
The Yankees, by the way, do the Yankees actually have a tie for the best record in the AL now? Is that possible? Yeah, I think they do. That's crazy. I mean, this team that went 20-31 over a 51-game stretch right now is tied for the best record in the American League. I mean, that's
so
remarkable.
much better than the Mets, who are going to face. I mean,
Mets are getting in the playoffs,
The Mets
Sam.
are going to get swept by the Miami Marlins this weekend. The Miami Marlins have been, I don't know if anyone in the baseball world has been paying attention to this the way that I have. The Mets have been rolling out a AAA baseball team for the last week in preparation for this series against the Marlins. They announced their starters for the final series: Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, and Edward Cabrera. Yeah, you think they want to eliminate the Mets from the postseason? I think so. I have people in Miami telling me that they're selling like 30,000 plus tickets to these games because all the Marlins are focused on at this point is eliminating the Mets' playoff chances.
Yeah.
I am going to be dialed in to Miami this weekend, Jason. I think they're going to do it. I think the Mets are going to get swept right out of the playoffs by the Miami Marlins and that incredibly talented pitching staff and, quite frankly, young, talented team they have. I've been high on the Marlins all year.
And as far as the wild card is concerned right now, the way it shakes out, it is the Yankees with the top spot, obviously, at 91-68. The Red Sox, a game ahead of Detroit for the second wild card, and Detroit just one game ahead of Houston, Sam, for that final wild card spot. Detroit or Houston, who gets in?
Detroit. Houston's done.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that. National League wild card, Mets still a game up on Cincinnati. Reds get a win yesterday, and Arizona is 2 back, still with a beating heart, barely. But the Arizona Diamondbacks still with an opportunity to potentially get in. So Mets or Reds then, or Arizona?
I was going to say cinema this weekend, especially out west, because you've got the Diamondbacks playing the Padres. The Padres still have a chance to win that division,
Crazy.
as weird as it is, because the Dodgers are playing the Mariners. Not that the Mariners have anything to play for, but that's a good baseball team that doesn't want to go into the playoffs cold. The National League is like an absolute, I don't know, it's a big old kerfuffle right now. I don't even know how to describe it. Reds, Brewers, you'd have to think that the Brewers want to give themselves a little bit of a runway into the postseason. I think the Reds have a chance to do some damage there. And I already said what I think about the Mets. Jason,
Reds
I think
offense.
that there's a real chance that the Mets don't even finish as the first team out of the playoffs. I think there's a chance that the Mets finish below the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Wow. We'll see. I will also say this. You could say the Mariners don't have anything to play for. Best overall record in the AL and home field. T-Mobile Park.
True.
T-Mobile Park has been rocking. That place is an electric atmosphere. The difference between playing a Game 7 conceivably against the Yankees, inside T-Mobile Park versus Yankee Stadium, I think you'll sign up for that if you're a Mariners fan, and they're going to keep playing Cal Raleigh because they want to see if he could hit 62 home runs on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, those are going to be two marquee. I can't wait to watch those two series this weekend between the Dodgers and the Mariners and the Padres and the D-backs.
The number is dropped on Cal Raleigh, by the way, now minus 190 to win the MVP. Last night it was 220, I believe, or 210. That number has dropped now to minus 190 with Aaron Judge at plus 155. And there is such heated debate on this topic. I was watching the guys on MLB Network yesterday, and the consensus seems to be Cal Raleigh in their mind. But there is a lot of debate right now. This is going to be one of the most hotly contested MVP conversations. And by the way, do not give me co-MVPs. I do not want to see co-MVPs.
Have they ever done that?
It has happened. Yes, it has happened before.
Whoa.
It has happened before, yeah.
When's the last time they did that?
I'd have to look it up, and I only got 45 seconds.
Well, I'll stall while you look it up. Listen, here's the thing. I keep hearing this debate, and it really feels like this is the answer to the debate. If you live in some denomination of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and parts of Vermont, you think Aaron Judge is going to win it. If you live in the other 44 states of the union, it seems like Cal Raleigh's probably going to win it. Problem is, a lot of those voters lived in the states that I just mentioned.
1979. 1979. Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell. There you go. Sam will be back for Page versus the Prince. All right, thanks for being with us on this Friday edition of the show. Coming up in 20 minutes, some thoughts on the Ryder Cup as that gets ready for a big weekend out at Bethpage Black. And also for the love of the game. We'll talk about that. I'll explain what I'm talking about. But first, we say hello to our good friend Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, hangs out with us every Friday on the show to discuss some of the top stories of the week in sports, and today is no different. So we've seen the pictures of Zion Williamson. We've seen the pictures of Luka Doncic. Both of those guys look like they're in the best shape of their lives. In the case of Zion Williamson, and I know there's been the off the court stuff that he's been dealing with as well. Does this finally feel like the year where he matures to a point where he could stay in this kind of shape, where he doesn't fall back into bad habits of eating everything in sight? And by the way, I say that as somebody who struggles with eating bad things. If you look at me now and look at me, a year ago, my face has thinned quite a bit. Thank you, Ozempic. Ozempic, who is not sponsoring this segment. They should be, though. Is this the year that Zion Williamson finally starts to put it together?
Well, it's a contract year. A contract year makes athletes do a lot of different things. A contract year where, you're trying to get, especially in the NBA, when we're talking $200, $300 million, then the difference between that and, someone saying, we don't think, you're a max guy. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think like him and Luka are different. I think Luka is chasing greatness. I think he wants to be a champion. I think he wants to be seen as the best player in the NBA. He's with the Lakers now. There's a different type of spotlight on him. I don't know if Zion has that type of motivation in him. Maybe he's just tired of people talking about him a certain way. We don't know either because, sometimes you get too skinny and his game is built off power and speed and explosion. Yeah. So how will skinny Zion actually, work on the court? I'm going to need to see, a month or two of this dedication before I buy in.
I think you make a really valid point, though, about sort of, and not where they are, how old's Luka? I'm trying to think.
Hey, 26, man.
26, and Zion just turned 25 in July. And they really are at different points in there. There is a vast difference between the two in terms of, in the case of Zion Williamson, it's just it's not about, hey, I want to win championships and be an MVP. He just wants to get his career on track. And like you said, he's playing for that next contract, that big contract that obviously he's hoping to reel in. But boy, oh boy, even if he has a good year, can't you just see it now? He plays like 70. He plays like 72 games, puts up monster numbers. Maybe the Pelicans are decent. Maybe they're not. But somebody's going to have to make a decision with everything we know about Zion Williamson, about handing him a huge contract next off season. I wouldn't want to be the GM or owner that's in that position.
I'll trade him. I mean, sell high. However that goes. Buy low, sell high.
That's not a bad idea. If he has a great year, you sell him at the deadline.
Player. Let's put it like that. So even with the,
I think he could be a piece. No, see, I think he could be a piece.
A piece. Yes.
I don't think he could be the guy.
But in New Orleans, they want him to be the man.
Yeah,
they want him to be the Creole man. And I don't think he's that type of player.
No, God, I could see him in a Knicks uniform.
That's too much pressure. You think he's having a hard time in New Orleans? Imagine every time.
Well, he's gonna have a hard time anywhere if it's.
They're gonna catch him out there getting that street meat. He's gonna be on every New York talk show in America.
Oh God, don't even say that. The significance of this Ravens-Chiefs matchup this weekend. One of those teams is going to be 1-3, and we know what history tells us about the idea of 1-3 through the first 4 weeks. And granted, there's an extra game. It's a 17-game schedule. And these teams are talented enough that they could recover. The AFC West, obviously the Chargers have been dominant so far. But, we know what both of these teams are still capable of being. Is one of these teams not making the playoffs, Robert?
I think this may be the end for the Chiefs. I'll be honest with you. Not the end as if they fall off the cliff or anything like that. I just think you have these peaks as teams, and then there's a valley, no matter how good you are. I think Patrick Mahomes is still great, but everything around him has become average. Whereas I think Lamar Jackson is still ascending, and they have the talent. I don't know if it might need a coaching change. This might be what I like to call a Tony Dungy situation. Remember Tony Dungy with the Bucs? Yeah. Talent was there. They were on the cusp. They couldn't just quite get over. John Gruden comes in, boom, Super Bowl. Same players. Sometimes I think the Ravens have the talent to win a Super Bowl. I don't think the Chiefs do. The only difference is right now is, do they need a different coach to maybe kickstart them in? Because right now it doesn't seem to be working with Harbaugh.
Xavier Worthy coming back this weekend for the Chiefs.
I don't think it's that big. I don't think Zay. See, that's how bad it is with the Chiefs. That Xavier Worthy, people think is going to change the entire. Xavier Worthy is nothing but a Hollywood Brown with X. They're not different. I mean, he's going to make a couple of plays and maybe get a couple of deep balls like Thornton, but this is not Justin Jefferson. It's not Chase. This is not elite guy. This is a middle level wide receiver, and this is what they've been dealing with ever since Tyreek Hill left, and it's finally caught up with him, in my opinion.
Well, look, there's another 5 weeks until the NFL trade deadline. Would you trade for Tyreek Hill?
Oh, absolutely not.
Really?
I don't know what's going on.
If this is the last vestiges of a championship team, and you start to think as an organization, hey, this is it. Like, we may only have one more run given the composition of this roster from an offensive standpoint. Kelsey, this could be his last year. I mean, you're not making that deal if you're trying to win one more title.
They could have paid Tyreek Hill in his prime if they wanted to, and they let him go and they won a Super Bowl, after. So I think, and that was 3-4 years ago. And this is not. I don't think this is the same Tyreek Hill, and I don't think they want to deal with the headache, the questions, and TMZ. They already got Taylor Swift. I think that's enough.
Well, the Chiefs have shown they don't shy away from guys with, sort of checkered resumes. Just saying. By the way, Harrison Butker better start kicking a little better too.
Well.
Not having his best season so far. I just want to say.
He can always kick at the White House if he doesn't.
They'll probably put some uprights there for him.
Yeah,
we'll put an MMA ring.
Everything.
We're coming back. More with Robert. All right, coming up in 10 minutes, some thoughts on the Ryder Cup. Also, for the love of the game, story that warmed my heart. That we'll get to coming up. Warmed the cockles of my cold, cold heart. Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online, hanging out with us. All right, Robert. Story I was reading about this morning, and it's not a story that's getting necessarily a ton of play. And I say this all the time. NFL's media partners are always going to protect the NFL. And they're not going to want to tell you the story of Rudy Johnson, who you don't have to be that old to remember Rudy Johnson, who was a fantastic running back in the NFL for the Bengals. I think he was like a 4th-round pick, 3rd-round pick, something like that.
Multiple 1,300-yard seasons.
He's
back when it was hard to run.
And he's still one of the top. He's still one of the top backs in the history. If you look at total yardage for the Cincinnati Bengals, Rudy Johnson took his own life on Tuesday and left us at the age of 45. And there was suspicion on his part that he had battled, and it was said that he had battled depression, and a lot of people think it may have been related to CTE. Now, hopefully, and we don't know all the sordid details of sort of, if he had left a note, said, hey, study my brain, that sort of thing. And I know that sounds kind of morose to some people, but there are a lot of people who have played football that have said, I'm going to take my own life in a certain way so as to preserve my brain so that you can study it to find out if I was suffering from CTE. And I suspect that might be what happens in this instance. But you're not hearing a lot about this. And I got to be honest, it pisses me off. That's the best way I could say it. Because we talk about these guys when it's our fantasy football teams, and this was before the age where sports betting was available because he retired, I think, in 08 or 09. But they were still, I'm sure there are guys that had him on their fantasy football team and rooted for him and fans that went to games. And then these guys disappear and their careers end.
Yeah, the NFL stands for not for long.
Yes, but these guys' careers end, and then all of a sudden, we don't talk about them anymore, and they slip into the shadows, and we don't care if they're suffering from CTE. All we care about is, did our team win? Did they help us win? Did they cause us to lose? And it just makes me so angry because this guy died not married, no kids, probably alone, and there's just something so tragic in that, Robert.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that, and we've talked about this before, an athlete's peak is normally in their 20s. And, they're at the peak of whatever their celebrity, fame, or money, whatever that is. And then at 20, sometimes 25, 26, before 30, it's over. And then the next round of athletes come in, almost like a machine line, like at Plymouth or at Ford or something. And like you said, it's out of sight, out of mind, but they have to live the next 50 years of their life, just and not in that spotlight. And there's not a lot of financial literacy. There's not a lot of training on it. And let's be honest, the NFL is just common sense. Banging your head into somebody else's head, for 3 hours a week is not healthy, for your brain. But I think, we know all what the issues are, and we know the concussions, and we know the injuries, and we see it. But, we just look away. And I think that's just a societal thing. It's like we see an accident and we peak, but we keep driving. Yeah. A lot of us don't stop.
It's so upsetting to me. And maybe it's also because I've been open and honest about my own issues with mental health. I just put out a post about it the day after my birthday, as a matter of fact, that a lot of people responded to, and I appreciate it. It wasn't, by the way, it wasn't for people it was not like a call for help. I'm okay. Okay. I was just simply talking about the fact that mental health is something that I've battled in my adult years a lot more, obviously, than in my younger years. But just the thought of this guy, dying alone somewhere from however, he took his own life. And there's just something terrible about it. And the NFL will sit there and tout all the things they're doing for player safety and all these different things. And this guy, died alone with no wife, no kids. And there's just something very tragic in it to me. That's all. I thought
that you were bringing it up and talking about it because, the media has a responsibility, as well, because we don't want, some maybe don't want to, like you say, rub the NFL the wrong way.
That's exactly
ESPN,
right.
The NFL owns a part of ESPN right now. So that's going to get buried. It's not going to be on First Take when you can talk about the Cowboys for 3 hours. It is. So, other people like yourself and others, the more we talk about it, maybe hopefully the more recognition it gets.
Before I let you go, this is one of the most insane sports weekends with a ton still to be decided in baseball with all these postseason races and wild card chases and divisions still up for grabs. The Ryder Cup, college football, some amazing NFL games. You get one. I'm going to put you on the spot. You get one thing to watch this weekend. What is it?
Penn State, Oregon. James Franklin has to win one of these games, right? Right? I mean, he's like 1 in 100 in big time games. The one game he beat Ohio State was a fluke, blocked field goal. But beyond that, he's lost literally every one of these games that has been important to him for like the last 10 years. If he was if he was at Alabama, he was at Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia.
Oh, you got to pass at Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, at Oregon, but it's somebody, you win, 1 in 30 against, top 10 teams, you'll be out of there. So, I mean, I feel this is set up for us at night. It's a whiteout game. Oregon has not experienced something like this. If he doesn't win this game and then he goes to Ohio State and loses that game, this is the best team he's had in all of his years there. Yeah, I mean, him and Jim Harbaugh may be, working out together at the golf club together because they're not going to have no job. John Harbaugh, excuse me, not Jim.
John, yeah, it's okay. I was going to correct you. Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online. You are a friend and a scholar. Thank you, my friend. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
We're coming back with more Sports Wrap on this Friday. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. We'll wrap it up with Page versus the Prince in 10 minutes. Some NFL picks. Week 4. There are some great games on the slate, by the way. If you haven't looked, I mean, it is tough. We were talking about with Robert Littal just a few minutes ago, and I asked him the question, if you have one thing to watch this weekend, what are you watching? You get one event. What are you watching? And it is not easy. I mean, I'm a big Ryder Cup guy. So but I mean, you got the Yankees trying to win a division title. You got the Tigers and Guardians battling for a division title. The Mets trying to hang on to a wild card spot. The Reds trying to get an unlikely playoff spot. Astros still with a chance to make the postseason. The Tigers. I mean, there is so much on the line in baseball this weekend. But the Ryder Cup, it's once every 2 years. And if that thing's competitive on Sunday, and you got a toss-up of who's going to raise the Ryder Cup trophy, I mean, that's going to do huge numbers. I don't know, man. It is tough pick, and the college football that we talked about as well. Even the WNBA playoffs this weekend with some important games. It's gonna be a fun weekend. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Chiefs and Ravens. I mean, with one of those teams is gonna be 1 in 3 through 4 weeks. Who had that on their bingo cards for the NFL season? Ravens or Chiefs? 1 in 3. Could you imagine what the odds on that would have been? That one of those teams would be 1 in 3 through the first 4 games? Amazing. There's a lot to talk about still on this Friday edition of the show. I wanted to talk about something for the love of the game, and we'll get into the Ryder Cup stuff coming up here in a couple of minutes because the opening foursomes are done for Friday morning. And by the time you watch this, the afternoon wave will be done and we'll have a sense of where things stand after the first day. But I just wanted to talk about the Ryder Cup for a couple minutes. But before I do, the story of Cal Raleigh. And I know a lot of people, we had this great debate on the show yesterday. It really was. With myself, David Ardsma, the former big league reliever and closer, and Sammy Arnell talking about who the MVP is going to be. And Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh is going to win it. And there is no wrong answer in this. It's subjective. And that's the beauty of these votes. It'll go, right down to the last day of the season. If Cal Raleigh hits 62 home runs, I think he's going to be the MVP. And if he doesn't, I think there's going to be enough voters and writers that give Aaron Judge the nod. But I want to talk about something that we didn't really talk about yesterday on the show, and it was Cal Raleigh hitting this 60th home run, and how one young man who was given the ball by a fan. It might have been like 12 years old, something like that. In this day and age, where you have people that are starved for fame, starved for attention, starved for money, all you got to do is go on your social media, you'll see it. Go watch your favorite, social media person, and you'll see it. This kid said, I want to give the ball back to Cal Raleigh, and I don't even care if I get anything for it. He just wanted to give it back to Cal Raleigh. And he did. This young man, and Cal Raleigh gave him some stuff. They let him down on the field for like batting practice. They gave him signed bats, signed balls, all of that. But the kid didn't even care. All he wanted to do was make sure that Cal Raleigh had this momentous 60th home run baseball, which had been authenticated. More home runs than any catcher in the history of baseball. Something only a handful of guys have done in the history of this game. And even less of those have done it cleanly. For this young man to put his ego aside, and kids have egos even at that age. Again, all you got to do is go on social media these days. And just to say, I want this to be about Cal Raleigh. I want him to be able to have this baseball. For that to play out the way it did in a day and age, think about the Aaron Judge record-setting home run baseball and everything that took place with that. The litigation, it went to court, who had it, who didn't. There was a historic home run in the pantheon of Major League Baseball. And the kid just gave it to Cal Raleigh without a care in the world. That is a kid that was raised right. The Ryder Cup. Is the U.S. breathing a sigh of relief? Because they got destroyed in the first 3 matches today out at the Ryder Cup. They were down 3-0 with three of the 4 foursomes in the book. And thank goodness for Xander Schauffele and, dare I say, Patrick Cantlay, who I have to thank, for saving the U.S.'s hide in these morning foursomes. Because if not for Schauffele and Cantlay, the U.S. would have been swept in those opening round matches, and they still almost got swept. It took until the 18th and final hole for the U.S., or it might have been the whole, it might have been on 17th they won it. I think they won it 1-up. But what it took for the U.S. just to get 1 point, they're down 3-1 going into the afternoon matches. And again, by the time you watch this, we'll know what the result of those afternoon matches are. At least you should know what some of them are anyway. And we'll see how it shakes out for the weekend. But it certainly didn't help the U.S. in terms of the odds of raising the cup. Right now, the odds for a tie is plus 1,200. Europe to win the Ryder Cup is minus 120, and USA is plus 130. And again, juxtapose that with what we had after or before the tournament, before this Ryder Cup began, where the U.S. was favored. And I'll credit Paul Azinger. And I talked about this when we had Ryan Ballingy on the show the other day from Golf News Net. This may not have been the right course to select, because I think it might have taken away some of the U.S.'s advantage to be on such a difficult track. We're coming back. Page versus the Prince next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Friday. Couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, Odyssey. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show Monday through Friday in crystal clear audio. 45 minutes commercial free. Get it on the train, planes, automobiles, while you're on the treadmill, in the shower, wherever. Check us out over on any of those podcasting platforms, and frankly, anywhere you get your podcasts. You can watch this show on over 270 affiliates around the U.S. and Canada. Did you know you can also watch us over on our YouTube channel, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel? It is there for you each and every day. Sports Wrap shorts are there as well. Sometimes clips from the show, sometimes clips not from the show. News is always breaking, and when it does, we hop on to YouTube with Sports Wrap shorts. And you can go check those out. Also look for Sports Wrap Shorts over on TikTok and Instagram. And without any further delay on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap, it is week 4 in the NFL, and that can only mean one thing.
It's Friday, and that means it's time for the weekly face-off for sports betting bragging rights. It's Page versus the Prince on the Sports Wrap.
Sam Yarnell I am 7-5. You are 9-3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. 2 games up on me. We both went 3-1 last week. Got people now following me on TikTok after my 3-1 last week. Thank goodness they didn't see the 1-3 the week before. Sam Yarnell, give me 4 winners this weekend.
All right, Jason. First, we get the first of the international series this weekend, and obviously those who have watched the program for long enough know what I like to do with these games. Take the under. It's not very hard. They're traveling all those thousands of miles, and their sleep schedules are so messed up. I'm taking the under 40.5 in Vikings Steelers. I like it because it's in Dublin for one, so we'll make it a principal play on that. But also, I mean, think about what these Brian Flores defenses have done against Aaron Rodgers in the past. You actually saw them last year when Aaron Rodgers was with the Jets, face off in London, and Brian Flores got the best of Aaron Rodgers in that matchup. I think he threw 2 interceptions. Don't hold me to that, though. Regardless, I'll take the Brian Flores defense. I'll take Aaron Rodgers not having a ton of success, and I'll take Carson Wentz not having the offensive success he did last week over in Dublin. Give me under 40.5 in Vikings Steelers.
By the
Giants.
way, before you get to Chargers Giants, remember the last time Aaron Rodgers played overseas? I think it was against the Dolphins or No, they played against the Vikings. He was with the Jets. They played against the Vikings, and it was not pretty.
Right. Yeah, multiple interceptions against that Brian Flores defense, like I said. Chargers Giants. This one, I'm also going under 43.5. Jackson Dart's first start against a staunch and stout Chargers defense. I'll take it. The Chargers want to run the ball. We've seen that. We've heard that. I'll take it against this Giants defense that I think is formidable. Like I've talked all year. Show me a front 7 as good as the Giants. I don't know if there is one. Certainly not a front 4 in the NFL as good as the New York Giants right now. So give me Chargers Giants under the 43.5. I hear you arguing with me, Packers fans. No, you're wrong. The Giants have a better D-line than you. Outside of Micah Parsons, they're talented all the way around. Colts Rams over 49.5. I know it's a high number. I like points in this game anyway. The Colts can't really defend a lick, and when they do defend, it's usually a pick 6. So give me an over in this game. I like the indoor factor here, and I like both of these offenses. Colts Rams over 49.5. Finish it off with the dumpster dive special. Panthers Patriots over 43.5. I couldn't tell you why, but I'm betting on these 2 offenses. Over 43.5 in Panthers Patriots, over 49.5 in Colts Rams, under 43.5 in Chargers Giants, under 40.5 in Dublin in Vikings Steelers.
All right, Sam Yarnell. We have one game that's actually the same, which I try to stay away from us having same games, but there's one that's just too good to be true, so we'll get to that in a moment. I don't shy away from tough games. Eagles-Buccaneers. Give me the Buccaneers plus 3.5. All they do is play close games. They've played 3 games. They've been decided by a total of 6 points. How do you not take the Buccaneers in this spot? Plus 3.5, potential letdown for the Eagles coming off the emotional win against the Rams. And look, Baker Mayfield continues to work that magic. Browns and Lions under 44.5. This number feels really high to me, given what both of these defenses are capable of doing. The Lions coming off a great performance, obviously, last week against Baltimore. And that Browns defense, enough said. The Chargers and Giants, I'm with you. I'm tailing you on this one. Under 43.5. I mean, I don't know how aggressive are the Giants going to be with Jackson Dart in that game? I don't think very much so, and we know how good that Chargers defense is. Ravens and Chiefs, give me the Chiefs plus 2.5. Xavier Worthy looks like he's going to be on the field. And I think this is a huge spot for both of these teams. I like the Chiefs to actually win on the field. I will take Kansas City plus the 2.5. So for me, it's the Buccaneers plus 3.5. Browns Lions under 44.5. Under 43.5 in Chargers Giants, and the Ravens Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs plus 2.5. It's going to do it for us on this Friday edition of the show. Thanks to Robert Littal. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell. We'll see you all back here on Monday for another edition of Sports Wrap. Enjoy the Ryder Cup, too. We'll see you later.